thank you for joining me. So today we're going to look at ladder sequencing for your yoga practices. Now it's a great way to structure your classes. It offers lots of scope for creativity and for you to make them really personable, but it's also highly adaptable. It means that the format can be used for something that's very dynamic, maybe very heat-inducing, but we could also use the same structure for a practice that's more rooted and even slower paced. It encourages students to have greater connection to their body, so mindful movement comes into this, and that's largely due to its repetitive nature. In a ladder sequence, you only use a small number of postures, maybe 4, 5, maybe 6, and then what you do is you practice them over and over again, slowly building this practice and building the class. This means that as a teacher, you can slowly start to take your instruction out and slowly start to use less and less and less teaching cues, meaning there's less dialogue and more encouragement for the student to be in the lived experience, to feel the sensation of breath and to connect to the practice in a richer way. Let's look at your training manuals because the graphics there are going to help me explain this a little further. So here in your training manuals there are 2 different variations of a ladder sequence, one leading to half moon pose as a peak posture and the other leading to a standing split. Now the most important thing with a ladder sequence is a means to link the postures. In this variation of the half moon pose, all I've simply done is use a variation of a sun salutation, or what some people call a vinyasa flow. So I'll do a flow practice, then warrior 2, practice both on the right and left side, then a flow again, and then a repeat warrior 2, maybe not hold the posture for quite as long, and then I add on extended side angle pose, Parshvakonasana. Then I flow again, repeat the previous 2 postures, again, maybe pausing for a lesser period of time, definitely offering less instructional guidance, and then add on a 3rd practice. And I think by now you get the picture of what we're looking to do. So we build the practice slowly. The posture that you start with, your foundation, the kind of center point of the lotus, remains all the way through. But for me, when I teach this and when I instruct new yoga teachers to have a go of using it, what I often say is, the first time you introduce a new posture, give it the depth of cues that you feel is right for your students. Don't overdo it, but make sure they understand the posture and what they're to experience in the practice. But then the next time it's repeated, bring some of that back, draw it back in. And then the final time when you come to the full sequence in its totality, let them feel it, let them breathe through it, maybe even let them flow through it. And this final sequence of 4 here could maybe be practiced multiple times for a 2nd or even a 3rd cycle. And in doing so, it builds up this great confidence from your student. They know how to do warrior 2. They've practiced it multiple times now. Now maybe they can close their eyes and feel warrior 2 and connect with it in a much richer way. So here are 2 examples similar to those outlined in the book. Notice how I'm using a step transition and I'm just building the practice up. Warrior 2, then add on triangle pose, step, then add on extended side angle pose, keeping all of the previous postures in the sequence, and then eventually, look, building up to that peak pose. So it's very progressive, very systematic. And then here, something very similar. The only change here is that I'm using Chaturanga Dandasana, yoga press up, upward facing, downward facing to link. So again, very similar, just a little more physical and more flow based.